All right, so today we're diving into a really incredible novel, Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. And this book, it completely flips the script on what it means to find paradise. It's got this radical, powerful idea that maybe, just maybe, true belonging shows up in the last place you'd ever think to look. So let's start with a question for you. When I say the word paradise, what pops into your head? Seriously, take a second. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Okay, I'm gonna guess you were probably thinking of something, well, perfect, right? Maybe an infinity pool, pearly gates, a place that's all clean and orderly. But this story, it takes that picture you just made and completely shatters it. Because in this book, paradise, it's a dusty graveyard in Old Delhi. It's a place of tombstones, grit, and grime, a home for the unwanted. So how on earth do you even begin to tell a story like that? One that's built on such a huge, powerful contradiction. Well, the answer's kind of baked into the structure of the novel itself. Which brings us to our first point, a shattered world's story. This line from the book really gets to the heart of it. How to tell a shattered story by slowly becoming everything. See, to tell a story about broken people, the book itself has to be, well, a little broken. It's not a straight line from A to B. It jumps around, it's fragmented, because it's trying to mirror the shattered lives of its characters and even the fractured history of a whole nation. A great way to think about it is like a broken mirror. You know, when a mirror shatters on the floor, you don't see one clear image anymore. You see hundreds of tiny, different reflections. To understand the whole picture, you have to get down on your hands and knees and pick up every single shard. And that's exactly what this book asks you, the reader, to do, to help piece this broken world back together. So who are these people living in this shattered world? Well, let's meet them. Welcome to the Parliament of Outcasts. Our main guide through all this is a woman named Anjum. She was born Aftab, an intersex child, and eventually finds a real community, a family, with the Hijras, that's a recognized third gender in South Asia. But her life is just completely torn apart when she gets caught up in a horrific massacre. And the only reason she survives, it's not out of kindness. It's because the killers believe that a Hidra's curse is bad luck. Can you imagine? That trauma completely breaks her, and she ends up taking refuge in the one place that feels safe enough, a graveyard. And right there, in the middle of all the tombstones, Anjum builds a place she calls Jannat. Jannat literally means paradise. It's basically an illegal guest house, but it becomes this incredible sanctuary for anyone and everyone who's been cast out by society. And this is the gut punch of the whole novel, right? The so-called living world is full of hate and exclusion, but this place of death, it becomes the only space for a truly inclusive, judgment-free life. Because the dead, they don't care about your caste, your religion, or your gender. And Janet starts to attract other people, other outcasts, people like a young man from the Dalit community, India's most oppressed caste, who renames himself Saddam Hussein. As a boy, he watched his own father get murdered by an upper caste mob. So later, he sees Saddam Hussein's execution on TV, and he takes the name. It's this incredible act of defiance, right? Taking the name of this powerful enemy of a global Goliath. He originally comes to the graveyard looking for revenge, but what he finds instead is a family. This idea of building a home, a life from the pieces that society has thrown away, it leads us to the book's most powerful and honestly most unexpected symbol. Let's talk about the resilience of beetles. Okay, stick with me here, because I know what you're thinking. A beetle? Really? We've been talking about all this heavy stuff, trauma, identity, social justice. But the true hero of this story's philosophy, the creature that unlocks its deepest meaning, is, yes, a dung beetle. Think about what a dung beetle actually does. Its entire existence is centered around, well, waste, the stuff that everyone else discards. But it doesn't just avoid it or tolerate it. No, it actively seeks it out. It then takes that refuse and rolls it into this perfect, self-contained little sphere. And then, this is the incredible part, it does something absolutely mind-blowing with it. It uses the waste as a womb. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It lays its eggs right inside all that filth, turning what the world threw away into a source of food, a source of protection, a source of new life. It doesn't just clean up the mess, it creates from it. And that is the story of every character in this book. Anjum takes the waste of her trauma, of having a body society rejects, and she builds Janet, a home for outcasts. Saddam takes the waste of his father's murder and the oppression he faces and forges a new family and a new purpose. Even a baby, conceived through state violence, becomes this incredible symbol of a new future built on love. They are all dung beetles. Every single one of them is creating life from the things the world has tried to destroy. So, what does this all mean for us? What can we learn from the resilience of a dung beetle? Is it actually possible to find happiness in a world that seems so full of pain? Well, that's what our final section is all about, exploring a new kind of happiness. The book calls it utmost happiness, and it's not what you think. It's not about being cheerful or having a life free from suffering. Not at all. It's an action. It's about looking at all the horror in the world, square in the face, and still making the choice to build something beautiful in the rubble. It's about creating community where there was none. In this story, happiness isn't a feeling, it's solidarity. And look, this book does not give you a fairy tale ending. The final image isn't some perfect sunset. It's Anjum, with an abandoned baby she's taken in, stuck in a rickshaw in the middle of a massive Delhi traffic jam. They haven't escaped. They are right in the thick of the chaos, the noise, the pollution, but they're together, and they're moving forward, even if it's just an inch at a time. So what's the big takeaway here? I think in a world that's just obsessed with perfection, that wants to airbrush all its flaws, maybe the most radical thing we can do is be a little more like that dung beetle. Maybe it's about looking at the margins, at the people and the places that have been forgotten or thrown away, and instead of turning our backs, we ask a different question. We ask, what can we build here? What kind of paradise can we create from the things the world has decided are worthless?